Firing the ball. So, in the ninth inning of the third and final playoff game, Ralph Branca was summoned to pitch to Bobby Thompson of the New York Giants. What followed was a two-pitch confrontation that linked two men forever. The date, October 3rd, 1951, and the site, the Polo Grounds. And the result was heard throughout the world.
Because of you, I should never been born. Because of you, Brooklyn fans are forlorn. Because of you, they yell, drop dead. Several million want my head to sever forever in scorn. My fame is sure, thanks to your Sunday pitch. Up high or low, I don't know which is which. But come next spring, keep throwing me that thing, and I will swing because of you.
In the late 1940s, New York went on a baseball binge. At least one of the city's three teams would play in all but one World Series from 1947 through 1957, when the Dodgers and Giants left for California. This was the fabled era of Willie, Mickey, and the Duke.
That great outburst of energy and optimism that hit New York right after the war, because not only had the war ended in triumph, it was replaced by a sense of possibility and optimism that had not been there for a long time.
I don't think it's possible to recreate for today's youngsters how important baseball was in New York City in the 1950s when there were three teams. There was a passion about New York baseball.
1951, baseball, the Big Apple, Brooklyn Dodgers, New York Giants. All of a sudden, that year, baseball hits critical mass.
The Dodgers and Giants always seemed to be fighting for the scraps, because the lordly Yankees always seemed to have the head table reserved.
I hated them. They won every year. I was born in the 1940s. I was a Giants fan living in Brooklyn, which was dangerous enough. You never were a Yankee fan, I don't think. You were just sort of a Yankee rooter, because they would win every year.
I loved the Giants. I hated the Yankees. I liked my friends, but I just hated their team.
You know, we didn't even pay attention to the Giants and the Dodgers. I mean, we were so involved in what we were, the New York Yankees, the men in the gray flannel suit, as they called us.
As a Giant fan, even my friends that were mostly Dodger fans, we hated the Yankees. We hated each other, but we hated the Yankees even more. You couldn't talk stats with a Yankee fan. The Dodger and Giant fans, we knew the statistics, we knew the game. Yankee fans, I don't think they even knew who the manager was half the time.
The home of the Giants was an oddly proportioned horseshoe overlooked by Coogan's Bluff. The ballpark's very name suggested that a different sport entirely was played there. The Polo Grounds.
Polo Grounds was known for cheap home runs. The cheapest of all home runs in the Polo Grounds is when somebody hits a high pop fly.
I'd say there's a little fly ball to short right. Robinson's going back. Oh, it's in the seats. It's a home run. A second baseman's going back for it.
The Polo Grounds, I think, was probably the most misshapen ballpark of all time. It was built almost like a big bathtub shape, and the Polo Grounds itself was kind of a spooky-looking ballpark.
Even the field wasn't straight, and the managers in the dugouts, if they look out to the outfield, they could only see the outfielders from the waist up.
Fans weren't a part of anything. I mean, the bleacher seats were so far out in right center field. It was just a huge, cold stadium for the fans. They weren't close to the ballpark at all.
In contrast to the uninviting Polo Grounds was Ebbets Field, which stood for all things Brooklyn. Noisy, cozy, fun, chutzpah.
The people in Brooklyn are supposed to be religious. We had the borough of churches, but where the people went to pray, that altar was at Ebbets Field.
You were right on top of the game. You felt connected to the players. They actually spoke to the fans. We would give them unsolicited advice. Hit to right, Gil, you'll break the slump. Hit to right. Never listened, but we felt that we were empowered.
The stands in Ebbets Field were so close to the playing field that you could carry on a running conversation with someone when you were playing center field.
I remember Pee Wee Reese saying about Ebbets Field, he said, if a friend of mine was in the stands, you can be darn sure I saw him. There were some of these eccentric fans, somebody called Hilda Chester who rang a cowbell, and she would shout, Pee Wee, did you have your glass of milk today? Yes, Hilda, I had my glass of milk today.
The Dodgers Symphony, going through the stands, playing their music with Shorty and Joe Larice.
I come from Brooklyn, and that's a great place to come from.
Their fans and ballparks could not have been more different, and yet they both scuffled for the same share of the spotlight. Thus, the ever-intensifying Dodgers-Giants rivalry took on the fervor of a border war.
The rivalry between the Giants and the Dodgers has never been matched. I mean, there was real hatred. It was almost like a feud between the two ball clubs. When they played each other, it was basically a war.
Well, I don't think in any stages of baseball, now or then, there was any more intense rivalry between the two clubs and the two cities. It was something that was embedded in all of us as Giants, and I'm sure it was with them.
When Wilbert Robinson, a New York coach, had a falling out with manager John McGraw and became Brooklyn's pilot in 1914, the rivalry heated up. 20 years later, Giants player-manager Bill Terry casually asked, "Are the Dodgers still in the league?" Those words haunted him when Brooklyn beat his Giants twice on the season's final weekend to deny them the pennant.
2-3 hours after the game, when the writers who had written their stories after the game were leaving the ballpark, there'd still be 20 or 30 fans out around the light post, Giant fans arguing with Dodger fans.
You could get into a fist fight with a best friend if he happened to be a Giant fan and you happened to be a Dodger fan.
I was a Giant fan, and I lived in Brownsville, which was a hotbed of Dodger fans. I kind of kept it low-key because I was afraid of getting punched in the nose or something even worse.
My neighbor was a Dodger fan. When the Giants played the Dodgers, we would never talk. He lived upstairs, I lived downstairs, and we would bang on the wall. I would hit the ceiling with a broom when the Giants would score.
Any place you went in the borough of Brooklyn, everybody were Dodger fans. You could just say, what's the score? And the other person would know exactly what you're talking about. My first recollection of the Dodgers, my dad took me to an Ebbets Field game, and I remember seeing the Dodgers beat the Giants. And from that day on, that was it. I was hooked.
At Shell, we're constantly testing to prove there is a difference in gasolines. While low-quality discount gas can allow gunk to build up in your engine, Shell gasoline stops gunky buildup to help your car perform at its best.
Looking for the love of your life? Log on to eharmony.com this Friday through Monday only during our free communication weekend. eharmony.com. Log on today.
Wood finishing projects can feel too big to tackle, but Minwax always makes it easy with rich wood stains and clear protective finishes. It's that simple. Minwax makes and keeps wood beautiful.
12 state lines, 47 red pickup trucks, and 3 bouncy things. One great place to start counting sheep. Super 8, now with free high-speed internet, free breakfast, and more. Super 8. See you along the way.
What your child brings back from an RV trip is more than you can possibly imagine. What will you discover? Go RVing. Visit GoRVing.com for a free video and see an RV dealer.
Thanks for calling Dell. What can we build for you?
My family needs a new computer.
Great. Let's get started.
Tell us how you want to use your computer, and we'll build it together. Because at Dell, we don't build technology for just anyone. We build it for only one. You. Dell. Dell is celebrating 23 years of delivering the future with 23% off select systems, like this Dimension E520 with an Intel Core 2 Duo processor.
ESPN Classic is opening up the boxing vault.
Oh, the right hand behind the jab.
Now with rarely seen fights, featuring some of the biggest names in boxing. Golden Boy De La Hoya, Real Deal Holyfield, Sweet Pea Whitaker. From one classic knockout to the next.
That's it. It's all over. It's all over.
Classic Night at the Fights, 8 p.m. weeknights, only on ESPN Classic.
ESPN Classic's putting your weekends over the top with Classic Weekend Marathons. Every weekend, Classic picks one sport. Touchdown! And gives you a full day of Classic action. From shooting stars to classic cars, 10 pins to last-second wins.
I don't believe it!
Believe it. Every weekend, ESPN Classic ups the ante with Classic Weekend Marathons. This weekend, it's a real Classics movie marathon. Today at 1, only on ESPN Classic.
The Dodgers had been the doormats of the National League. They had gotten no respect. They were the daffiness boys. They were the bums.
They didn't call them them bums for nothing. You know, there was a kind of an affectionate sense of, you will probably disappoint me, but I love you anyway.
They were our boys. We loved them. They could do no wrong. We had a fellow named Hollis Thurston, whom they called Sloppy Thurston. I don't know if it was because of the way he dressed or the way he pitched.
We had a shortstop on Brooklyn named Tommy Brown, who caught a ground ball and threw it into the upper deck.
The hot potato, Luke Hamlin, who was snake-bit, never failed to give up a home run at the wrong time and lose a ball game.
What rooting for the Dodgers gave all of us, a respect for imperfection. We were the team of Sisyphus. We were the ones rolling the boulder up the mountains, knowing it might roll down again. We learned how to lose.
From 1921 to 46, the Dodgers won only one pennant. But after that, took 2 of the next 4. And entering the 1951 season, it became clear these boys of summer were not the bumbling, lovable losers of old.
The 1951 Dodgers were once again an outstanding team. We had Pee Wee Reese, Duke Snyder, the great center fielder, and of course Jackie, and then you had the great catcher Roy Campanella.
With their players, the players they had some outstanding pitchers. Newcomb, Preacher Rowe, Carl Erskine, Labine,
and Ralph Branca, who joined the Dodgers organization in 1944. 3 years later, at the ripe age of 21, Branca became the youngest 20-game winner in National League history. And better yet, he was a native New Yorker. At age 25, Branca had already won 63 games. But at the start of the 1951 season, Dodgers manager Charlie Dressen figured Branca, a most willing worker, would best serve the team from the bullpen.
I was the closer. Wasn't called a closer in those days, but I pitched a 7th, 8th, and 9th. And finally, I started a game, and I pitched 4 straight complete games. 3-2, 2-1, 4-2, 3-1. So it made the pitching staff, it gave the pitching staff a rest.
If you asked him to come to the mound, he made so many appearances. You're going to see how many innings he pitched that year, and the year before, and the year before that. Never say no, and he gave his all.
Meanwhile, the Giants, who had high hopes for the 1951 season, lurched from the starting gate in full retreat.
The Giants started the season with a record of 2 wins and 12 losses. And everybody, the newspaper men said, they're out of it. They're finished.
Nobody gave them a chance. The Dodgers were riding high. The Dodgers were a great club, and the Giants were not.
The Dodgers swept the Giants in an April series, and an urge to pour it on, vocalized by Jackie Robinson, infused the team with a new ferocity.
When Jackie came, it kind of jumped the rivalry up a notch. Not because he was a black African-American, but because he was such a good player and probably the most fierce competitor I ever played against.
As a rookie in 1947, Robinson silently absorbed unmeasured pain. But by 1951, he had grown accustomed to unleashing that pain in a cold fury. In the other dugout, his intensity was matched by the Giants' feisty, umpire-baiting manager, Leo DeRocher.
You know, it's tough to ask somebody not to fight back. And he controlled himself pretty well. After a couple of years, then he could really, you know, let himself go and show people, now you're going to see, you know, some real baseball.
He could beat you with the bat, he could beat you by making a key play, or he could beat you with his mouth.
Leo and Robinson had a tremendous animosity and rivalry. They used to ride each other mercilessly. And Leo was once going out on the field after him because they used to make it personal. They were both intense competitors.
Once, Leo DeRocher had managed the Dodgers, so when he shifted his allegiance to the Giants in 1948, Brooklyn viewed that as an act of betrayal and sacrilege.
Well, I'm glad to see him go for Brooklyn's sake, but sorry for the Giants.
I don't think he'd help the Giants at all, but the Giants needed a pitcher, not a manager.
When I saw the headline in the paper, I didn't believe it. DeRocher to manage Giants was just unbelievable. I can think of nothing that even comes close to such a shock.
It was an upset of the center, sort of like smoke of the bears starting a forest fire.
America's sports story of the year. Across the river from Manhattan, Brooklyn baseball drops a bombshell.
We were stunned. Had he gone to another team in another league, all right, big deal, another guy goes by. But then he goes to the Giants, they're the rivals, you know. You can't do this. This is not kosher.
But by early May of 1951, the turncoat DeRocher and his players floundered in the churning wake left by the Dodgers. The Giants were desperate for help.
Does your restless mind keep you from sleeping? Do you lie awake, exhausted, but still can't sleep? Maybe it's time to ask your doctor if Lunesta's right for you. For a limited time, you're invited to take the Lunesta 7-Night Challenge. Ask your doctor how to get 7 nights of Lunesta absolutely free and see if it's the sleep aid you've been looking for. Non-narcotic Lunesta can help you get a full night's sleep. Lunesta helps you fall asleep quickly, so take it right before bed. Be sure you have at least 8 hours to devote to sleep before becoming active. Until you know how you react to Lunesta, you should not drive or operate machinery. Do not take Lunesta with alcohol. Most sleep medicines carry some risk of dependency. Side effects may include unpleasant taste, headache, drowsiness, and dizziness. Hurry! The Lunesta 7-Night Challenge ends May 31st. Get your coupon at lunesta.com and ask your doctor today.
ESPN Ultimate NASCAR 100 Defining Moments. Moment 64. Nicknamed Leadfoot, as well as the Gentle Giant, Buddy Baker was famous for setting speed records over his 34-year NASCAR career. On March 24, 1970, on a closed course at Talladega, Baker became the first man to post a test speed exceeding 200 miles per hour.
Tonight on ESPN Classic.
You build me a car and I'll win Daytona next year.
Tom Cruise stars as a hot stock car driver with a hot temper in Days of Thunder. And at 10, it's an encore presentation. It's all tonight on ESPN Classic.
For years, I've been telling you how to get cash now for your structured settlement or annuity payments. Times change, and your financial needs change with them. If you need cash today, J.G. Wentworth can help. We work with thousands of people just like you to get the most cash for their structured settlement or annuity payments. It's your money. Use it when you need it. Call J.G. Wentworth today.
Call 1-866-631-6233.
Call this toll-free number now for your free visitor's guide filled with great vacation ideas. Daytona Beach, 23 miles long, a million memories wide.
On May 25th, 1951, the Giants brought up a youngster from Westfield, Alabama named Willie Mays. After his first 26 at-bats, Mays was hitting .038.
Here I am in the clubhouse crying, and, you know, I want to go back to Minneapolis. And so Leo came in, and he said to me, hey, don't worry, you're my center fielder. You just go out and catch the ball.
Leo DeRocher knew exactly how to handle Willie Mays, and the way he handled Willie Mays is he got on us.
You could look at him and tell from his action, from his movements, that he was a natural. He was a diamond in the rough. All they need is, you know, just polishing up here and there.
After that, I relaxed. I think I started remembering what I had to do at the plate, and I just went from there.
Mays started electrifying that team with defense.
In one memorable sequence, Mays tracked down a deep drive by the Dodgers' Carl Furillo to right center. Then spun around furiously and in the same whirling motion threw a laser that nailed Billy Cox at home.
He brought a joy of playing. Every day was like Christmas Eve to him. You could sense on the team, our team got a little bigger. The pace got a little faster.
With Mays added to the roster, the Giants only had one problem: what to do with Bobby Thompson.
I'd heard about this kid gonna join us because I was a center fielder at the time.
Bobby got benched, then ended up on third because Hank Thompson wasn't doing the job.
And that was all right with me as long as I was playing.
Bobby Thompson was not that good a center fielder. He had tremendous speed, but not always the best judge of a ball, sometimes overran balls.
Bobby was not hitting at the beginning of the season. For a while, he was flirting with the 200 mark.
While Thompson and the other Giants struggled, the Dodgers played scorched earth baseball, led by the profane passion of Jackie Robinson.
Leo DeRocher told me he was the toughest bench jockey he'd ever seen. He never saw such venom come from one person's mouth as came from Jackie Robinson's mouth, dugout to dugout. He would say anything about you, your mother, or your wife.
The bench jockeying between the two ball clubs, and especially DeRocher and Robinson, was vile sometimes. It was, you wouldn't dare print some of the things that were said. DeRocher was very, very sharp dresser and very, very kept guy. Used a lot of cologne. And Jackie used to say, you're wearing Lorraine's perfume again. I can smell it over here. You're wearing Lorraine's perfume again. Used to infuriate DeRocher.
Jackie Robinson was not an easy guy to get along with. Jackie Robinson was mean, he was tough, he was hard, and he played to win. He tormented the Giants.
Through early August, the Dodgers had won 13 of 15 against the Giants, and Robinson, who had played for DeRocher, remained unmerciful in his taunting.
They had just swept a series from us in Brooklyn, and it looked like we were buried.
And of course, when the Dodgers got far in front, Charlie was laughing.
Their Dodger clubhouse was right next to the Giant clubhouse.
All there was a wooden door separating the Giants and Dodger locker rooms.
A door was locked on both sides, and it was just a little alleyway there, about 8 or 10 feet. Well, they had opened theirs, and Jack was beating on the door with the bat.
Dressen encouraged the players to pound on the door and yell, you guys are dead, you'll never catch us, and singing songs. And inside the very quiet Giant locker room, the Giants were really letting this penetrate.
Fanning the flames even further, Dressen and DeRocher had a history that went back quite a time.
It was a funny combination because they'd played together on the Cincinnati Reds many years before.
They also shared a dugout, but even then, there was acrimony between them.
Dressen was a coach under DeRocher. DeRocher referred to him as my right arm at one point, and there was an underlying rivalry then because Dressen always felt that he was the better baseball man.
Leo DeRocher had a terrible influence on anybody who worked for him. And in a way, they wanted to be like him and also to beat him. But, I mean, Charlie Dressen just wasn't as smart as Leo.
He once made the remark, if you guys don't know how to win, I'll think of something, which, of course, is one of the most ludicrous remarks ever made by anyone. But in a way, it shows what kind of a guy he was. He was very cocky.
Anytime we played the Dodgers, Charlie Dressen was much like Leo. They were two little bandycocks trying to outdo the other.
On August 11th, after winning the opener of a doubleheader against the Boston Braves, the Dodgers widened their lead over the Giants to 13.5 games. It seemed more of a coronation than a pennant race.
ESPN
Classics Real Classics Movie Marathon, today at 1 Eastern.
ESPN Classic is opening up the boxing vault. Now with rarely seen fights, featuring some of the biggest names in boxing. Classic Night at the Fights, 8 p.m. weeknights, only on ESPN Classic.
Houston, we are on final approach to the easiest place in the universe to book a room. Touchdown. The Bodad has landed. Motel6.com. We'll leave the light on for you.
Color will put a smile on your face, especially when you're saving money on it. This Thursday through Monday, save at your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams paint store. Save 30% on Sherwin-Williams exceptional paints and stains. Save 15% on Duration exterior and Duration home coatings. Save on wall coverings, plus the products and tools you need for any decorating project. Don't wait, you've only got 5 days to save, so hurry in for painting and decorating.
Not just oil, Pennzoil. Pennzoil congratulates Kevin Harvick on winning the All-Star Challenge.
Hey, you want to see something cool?
Now you can hang out with an NFL quarterback.
Hey, I'm coming to your house.
Fathead is a larger-than-life limited edition wall graphic that brings all the NFL action right into your home or office.
Fathead is huge. That's how big a Fathead is.
Just peel and place. Fathead is easy to put up and can be moved over and over.
Coolest thing is, put it on the wall. You don't like it there? Peel it off. Put it on another wall.
Too big and real for stores. Fathead.com's where you can also find all your favorite players and teams. Officially licensed by the Collegiate Licensing Company, NASCAR, the NBA, the NFL, and Players Inc.
Fathead is the coolest thing out right now. Call, get a fat head.
Fathead are for true NFL fans only.
Take those posters off the wall, kick them out, and put on Fathead.
Fathead. Go big. Real big.
You call me a fathead? Hello, people in TV land, get a fathead.
Here's a radically simple suggestion from eLoan. If your adjustable mortgage rate keeps rising, maybe it's time to call eLoan at 1-800-TRY-eLoan or go to eLoan.com for a fixed-rate mortgage with one low monthly payment. eLoan. Radically simple.
The American Gladiators versus the Challengers. Two powerful forces clash in contests of strength and agility. The legendary American Gladiators. Weeknights 7 Eastern, 10 Pacific, and weekend mornings at 9 on ESPN Classic.
With 7 weeks left in the 1951 season and his players on the raw edge, master manipulator DeRocher changed his approach.
He was making all kinds of changes, and then suddenly in August, no more changes.
It just seemed like the pressure fell off of everybody, and we started playing baseball.
Leo kept egging us on. Just, you know, it's nice and easy. You know, who's going to be the hero today? Come on, you guys, let's go out and win another one, that kind of thing.
You know, we had a big lead. Suddenly that lead evaporated. Went from like 13 games to 6 games in like a week.
It was just amazing. I mean, you know, one day they're 13 and a half, then it's 10, then it's 8.
To help their comeback along, the Giants invented a 10th position, that of spy, a stealer of signs.
This guy, Hank Shenz, when he arrived on June 30th, it's doubtful that DeRocher knew what he was getting, but very quickly he saw what he had in this guy. One of the things that he did was steal signs with a telescope.
The clubhouses were out in dead center field, and there were windows in the Giant offices looking down onto the field.
So the Giants positioned Henry Shenz there.
You needed someone who knew how to read signs well, to very quickly decipher the signs. And Shenz turned out not to be that good at it. And so DeRocher turned to his right-hand man, Herman Franks.
The stolen signs were relayed Pony Express style, from the Giants bullpen to reserve catcher Sal Evars.
They got an electrician who was attached the buzzer to the bullpen and the buzzer to the dugout. I was the fellow that was decoying the signs. I had a ball in my hand. If there was no buzz, it was a fastball. If it was a breaking ball, I threw it up in the air. But everybody
as far as I know, wanted the signs. And I say everybody was taking the signs.
But their elaborate espionage produced no sudden offensive surge.
The batting averages actually dropped during the period that they were supposed to be stealing the signs.
Only 3 of the Giants ball players had improved their averages from sort of mid-season on. So how could you prove that they benefit by that?
If you look at the numbers, if you look at the statistics, the Giants did take off. They started winning around the time they started stealing signs. But they started winning not because their hitting improved. The reason they begin to win is the pitching comes together. The ERA drops, I think, by almost a full run in the second half of the season. So one wonders if they were stealing signs and getting an advantage, was it really helping them all that much?
Beginning on August 12th, the Giants went on a 16-game winning streak. Often, it was Bobby Thompson who delivered the key hit.
We just kept playing and didn't think about it until we got, you know, a lot closer. And then we started to think about it a little more.
Bobby was very conscious of his hitting form. He changed his stance. He started coming out of a crouch.
Going from 232 in the first half to 359 in the second half can be attributed to his getting into a crouch and springing out at the ball.
He got as many key hits as anyone in our club, all during that stretch when we were closing the gap on the Brooklyns. He and Monty Irvin were two out hitters that just got big hits for us all the while.
Going into September, the Dodgers found their seemingly insurmountable lead had melted down to only 7 games.
They were playing good ball, but it seemed like good ball at that time was not good enough. We were playing better ball. They won 2 out of 4, we won 3 out of 4.
Dressen used only a few of the Dodger pitchers. There were 3 or 4 pitchers he never used, which made the other pitchers work even harder.
And we just didn't play well, we didn't execute well, we didn't hit well. The pitching staff got overworked. Dressen used basically 5 or 6 pitches and literally ran us into the ground.
The time just went boom, boom, boom. And there was a lot of pressure, a lot of mental and physical pressures.
With less than 2 weeks of the season remaining, the Giants found themselves little margin for error.
At that point, I thought we can't afford to lose another game. And we did lose a game to Cincinnati on the road. And I'll never forget leaving Cincinnati. I thought, well, that's it. We can't do it.
But that turned out to be the Giants' last loss in September. Meanwhile, the Dodgers, locked in a death spiral, dropped 6 of 9. On the last scheduled day of the season, the two sat tied atop the league. While the Giants were in the middle of a 3-2 win in Boston, their 37th victory in 44 games, the Dodgers fell behind 6-1 in Philadelphia.
I don't think there was a household in Brooklyn that didn't have the radio on from Philadelphia.
While Dodgers fans lit candles, the Giants could only sit and squirm and stew on their train ride home, waiting for a final from Philadelphia.
We actually were a half a game ahead, and we had the champagne, we had all the goodies, and as we started back from Boston, someone kept coming in telling us what was happening in Philadelphia.
By listening to the Dodger broadcast from station to station on a train, they found that the Dodgers were losing.
And I remember Larry Jansen, you know, grabbing hold of me. Hey, Bobby, we've won, we're the champs. We found out when we got off the train in Grand Central Station, we weren't the champs.
The Dodgers rallied to win 9-8, with Jackie Robinson making a game-saving catch in the 12th and belting a homer in the 14th. Both Brooklyn and New York finished at 96 and 58, so there would be a playoff, best of 3, the World Series for the winners, an inconsolable winter for the losers.
Separate yourself from the herd. The innovative Ridgeline from Honda.
Two-man batting trainers are great, but what do you do when you don't have a practice partner? Introducing the Skills Hurricane, the professional-grade solo batting trainer for batters of all ages.
Hi, I'm Derek Jeter. The Hurricane is the ultimate swing trainer for anyone who's serious about their game. It works for me, and it'll work for you. Try it and see for yourself.
Pro, high school, and college teams have used the Hurricane for years. Now it's available to you as a home self-trainer. Practice virtually anywhere you can swing a bat.
The Hurricane provides instant feedback on your swing to teach proper mechanics, and that means more hits when you play.
The Hurricane's unique multi-twist design shows you how well you're hitting. More turns mean